let's say the Niners win both the next two or just one of the next two games. Is there a player that they should look to add at the deadline, or are they just too strapped for picks and can they not afford to make a move like they made last year for Sanders? Tony, you first.
I like the idea. They're kind of rare these days, but I like the idea of a player-for-player swap. I do not like the idea of giving up draft picks next year at all. But remember the A.J. Jenkins trade back then? It never worked out for either team. They just swapped fledgling draft picks. Something like that I would not mind seeing, but absolutely no on giving up draft capital next year. It's going to be too valuable. If you look at how many teams are going to be up against the cap in the offseason. Next offseason is going to be wild, y'all, and you're going to want as many resources as possible.
Yep.
Well, they got Jordan Willis, so are they good now?
Game changer.
They got we're going to get to Jordan Willis in a second.
I'm honestly not even sure who's out there that's going to make sense cap-wise, who's going to be like, a late-round pick-wise, because at this point, I feel like they kind of exhausted this year's trade hypotheticals from last year for going after Sanders. And as much as that did kind of pay off, I know they didn't win the Super Bowl, but, you would argue, of course, that's one of the reasons why they propelled to the Super Bowl in the first place. But, the real trade out there, and I know Nick's going to talk about it, I'm not going to say too much about it, is why didn't you find out about Marcus Golden in the first place? That's the one I just saw this morning. I just thought, wow, Nick's going to be pissed. I'm like, where was this at? It's like either John Lynch is not poking around or he doesn't have enough connections.
Back to Arizona, right?
Back to Arizona. But they gave up a 6th-round pick. A six-round pick. So, that's fine for the 49ers, I guess. But like we just said, they always hit on they do 3 picks, so maybe they like those. I don't know. It was just bizarre. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly who they're going to get or what the position needs going to be at that point. Because just like 2 weeks ago, we're figuring out about the secondary. Now, all of a sudden, in my opinion, the secondary is their best, is their identity. They are pass coverage defense now. So, I don't think they're going to trade for anyone.
I've seen one trade all over Twitter, which is kind of like the A.J. Jenkins, Jonathan Baldwin trade, is the John Ross for Dante Pettis. John Ross runs, a 4.2 140. That would stretch the field, but that doesn't really...
Almost as fast as me.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I don't know if that helps anything, really. The guys I wrote down right before the show were Brian Poole. He's the slot corner for the Jets. He had a good game last week. He's a 4.9 cap hit, so that's a lot, but if depending on how long K'Wan Williams is out for, that could help. He's familiar with the system. He was with Atlanta when Shanahan was the offensive coordinator there. So I know Dan Quinn has a similar system as Saleh. And then Jamison Crowder is a big cap hit, but he's on a team going nowhere, and he could help fix that slot. That's just if they really feel confident at 5-3. At 4-4, there's no way they should take on that salary. And then the last one is a guy I like coming out of the draft who has pretty underperformed so far with Washington, is Fabian Moreau. And I think he's
UCLA.
Worth a flyer if Washington is willing to just get rid of him.
I agree. Good call on Fabian Moreau. I like that one.
I'm with Tony on this one, where you can't afford to give up draft capital. There just isn't enough draft capital in next year's draft. And then looking at Maverick's idea, or an idea that's been floated around by many, the John Ross for Dante Pettis swap, that's very enticing. That would be a huge pickup for the offense, just having the speed, not so much his ability to stretch the field, because we know where Garoppolo stands with the deep ball, but just having that additional speed element in the 49ers offense would be exciting. If they want to make moves, like they picked up Jordan Willis, but why not make a call to Clay Matthews like we've been saying for months now? Like, that's what they should do. Try to find free agents who have been is Larry Warford, I know he said that he was going to sit out this season due to COVID. Can he change his mind? Can he come back and can he sign with the team? Because
I'll look him up.
Go on his Twitter DMs or something, be like, hey Larry, can you change your mind for us? We're struggling on the interior of our offensive line. But seriously though, there's free agents out there that you don't have to pay any draft capital for, and you can just sign them, and it's not so much of a burden on the future.
Okay, I have a name. Look, you guys are right. It sounds so irresponsible to trade a draft pick for a player, but say the Niners win the next 2 games and they're at 5-3 after just beating the Patriots and Seahawks on the road, and they have as much momentum as any team in the league that thinking we can win the Super Bowl this year. It's just that our center is Hronis Grasu. And we don't know when Weston Richburg is coming back. We don't know what's up with Ben Garland. Can you get Alex Mack? He's got 1 year left on his deal. He's got a $10 million cap hit, but if you get him at the midway point, it's more like $5 or $6 million. He's good. He's only signed through 2020. He knows the system. He's good, as opposed to Grasu. So it sounds like it would be so irresponsible, and the Niners probably shouldn't. But if you're 5-3, I feel like you almost have to make an irresponsible decision. You almost have to. But I don't know if he's even available or good anymore. I don't watch the Falcons that more. He's a name that I've heard of, and I know he used to play for Chicago. So
I can't watch the Falcons because those jerseys are ugly.
Terrible. And I don't know what Alex Mack would even cost, but it seems like the Niners just have such a glaring weakness at center that even if they do squeak out wins going forward, it's a problem. They're not going to – you can't take him seriously unless Hronis Grasu – I mean, you would know more about him than me, Maverick. He's a former Oregon Duck.
He was okay as a zone read blocker, but I don't know if that translated into NFL success. But another guy who's probably going to start this weekend, Eric Magnuson with the Raiders. They have all their offensive linemen back. That's who I said they should – when they signed Grasu, that's who I thought they should bring in. Not saying he's better than Garland, but I think he could compete with Grasu at center, and we'll see if that was the right decision not bringing him back in the fold.